Everybody's talking about what happened to Caitlin Clark on the basketball court in her game against the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese. Let's play that clip. I know you've already seen it, but we had to talk about roll call yesterday, and I really enjoyed that. But there's Caitlin Clark news, and it's all over the internet. So I want to show you what happened to Caitlin Clark in a game against Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky. One of Angel Reese's teammates laid a shoulder shiv in the back of Caitlin Clark, and the internet has melted down. Let's play the clip.
Mabry doubled off to Carter. Her jumper is good. Chennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench. And then the lay from Boston as the officials are going to take a look at what just transpired between Carter and Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Chennedy Carter, I think that's going to be a flagrant one, and Clark goes to the line and hits the first. They called it away from the ball foul because it happened prior to the inbound. So then anybody can shoot the free throw. Of course, Indiana would have Clark, as a great free throw shooter, shoot it. A little surprised that it's nothing more than a common foul beyond that. But Clark hits the free throw.
This controversy has overtaken the internet, and everybody's been talking about it for 2 or 3 days. Here at Fearless, we've laid the groundwork to be the authority on Caitlin Clark, and there is a lot to discuss here, including Angel Reese appearing to celebrate Clark getting put on her butt. But I have a variety of takes on this, and we got into it quite a bit yesterday. That's why we're back at it again today with Delano. Squires and I are going to talk about it, but I want to give you my secondary take off this that will be quite different from yesterday. And this all has to do with the difference between men and women and what our expectations are for men and women. We'll get into it today on Fearless. Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, and happy part 2 of our analysis of Caitlin Clark and what's going on in the WNBA. I want to take a different angle on this today and discuss it from slightly less of a basketball angle, but I just want to unpack the conversation different. And many people have been arguing that, man, she's a rookie. And this is what they do to rookies. And, look what happened to Michael Jordan when they froze him out of the All-Star game. Look what happened early in his career, the way the Detroit Pistons beat him up, and they had the Jordan rules on how to defend Michael Jordan. And the whole league had to adjust to Michael Jordan, and they ended up having to change the rules and stop the Detroit Pistons from beating up Michael Jordan. All of that is true. But what no one wants to deal with is we have 2 completely different expectations for men and women. What we will celebrate, tolerate, enjoy men doing, we don't want to see it from women. What we will celebrate, enjoy, and promote women doing, we don't want to see it in men. Men and women are different. And this whole WNBA thing is suffering and imploding and being engulfed in controversy because no matter how hard they try, you're not going to get the American public or people to hold men and women to the same standards of behavior. You're not going to enjoy seeing a bunch of women act like men. You're not going to enjoy, unless you're sick, seeing a bunch of men act like women. It's not going to happen. And I know they're forcing that upon us. But that is what is central and at the heart of this whole Caitlin Clark debate. I'm going to elaborate further, but I do want to tell you guys, if you want to check out Roll Call 2.0, you need a Blaze TV subscription. Go to blazetv.com/fearless. Use the promo code fearless, and you can save $20 on your yearly subscription. blazetv.com/fearless. Save $20 on your subscription, and you can watch all of Roll Call 2.0, and it is amazing. It is worth the price of admission. The other thing, this episode of Fearless today is brought to you, is sponsored by Coveted Eyes. Living a porn-free life will bring you a new freedom to live honestly, and remember, accountability is not others calling you out on your sin, but it's others calling you up to the person you are in Christ. So what are you waiting for? Anyone can get started on their path to recovery for free by visiting covetedeyes.com and using my promo code FEARLESS for 30 days free. Thank you, Coveted Eyes. Thank you for sponsoring Roll Call. Thank you for being with us here at Fearless along this journey. Awesome. I want to go back to Caitlin Clark and people's reaction to what's going on with Caitlin Clark. I want to play you a video of that someone put out over social media. I think it's just a minute-long video, but it's a video about what the WNBA was like before Caitlin Clark. And it's a fair argument that what Chennedy Carter, or whatever, is it Chennedy Carter? Is that her last? I know she spells her Kennedy, Chennedy. These parents and how, anyway, but Chennedy Carter, what she did, not remotely unusual for the WNBA, and someone put out this clip backing that up. Let's play that.
Reaching in, Alicia Gray from behind the line, and down it goes. And now we've got Brittany Griner going after Anigwe, and this could get ugly. Griner is being held back by numerous players, and now trying to throw punches.
This is Ford and Parker tied up with one another, or excuse me, Pearson and Parker. See, Ford is trying to play peacemaker, and that's when she went down, trying to contain Lynette Pearson.
Review, and there it is. They got tangled up. I'm not exactly sure why they got so heated about it, but Parker took exception.
So when I saw this video, and then I seen people pushing out a video of, hey, a week or 10 days ago, when Angel Reese, I think the woman's name was Alyssa Thomas or Alyssa Smith, I think it's Alyssa Thomas, basically horse-collared Angel Reese to the ground. How come you guys weren't complaining then? How come that wasn't a big deal? You just want to protect Caitlin Clark. This is the way the WNBA has always been. It's always been a rough physical league. You know what my reaction to that is? That's why I didn't watch the WNBA. I don't want to see a bunch of tatted up, angry lesbians do rollerblade on a basketball court. I don't want to see it. No one wants to see it. No one wants to see women behaving like thuggish men. And I'm just sorry. That's that. That's a fact. I don't watch women's UFC. I don't watch women's boxing. I don't like it. I don't like women that like to fight. When I see videos over social media of women pummeling each other in street fights, I click off and move away and say, I never want to be around those people. I don't want to be around women who are comfortable fighting. That's just me. And I think that's most men. We have a different set of expectations for women. And so when I watch Caitlin Clark in a college environment, when I watch women's college basketball, I don't want to see a bunch of fighting, and there's a lot less of it in college basketball. It almost never happens. We had the one little incident where Carmela Cardoza, playing for Don Staley, she shoved Flau'jae Johnson, the LSU guard, to the ground, and then the women all came together and nothing happened. There were no other punches thrown. It was called a melee, but nothing really happened. And so these videos of angry lesbians fighting each other, it's why I don't watch the WNBA. It's why the league has lost money for 27 straight years. It's why the ratings have been awful. And it's why this whole little new rookie class was greeted as a breath of fresh air, because they presented themselves as feminine women on draft night. If they want to revert to this, the violence, trust me, they're going to run us away. The people that had never paid attention to the WNBA, because we have two different sets of expectations from men and women. You call that sexism, or they call that sexism. I call it a normal mindset. Men and women are not the same. And if the WNBA wants to continue to be a league that mimics the behavior of men, if all the women are going to tat themselves up and beat themselves up on the court, I'm not going to watch. And again, when you watch a lot of women in sports, in all these leagues, whether it's soccer or whether it's basketball, there is an overaggression that's a part of these sports. It's like, man, that seemed aggressive for no reason. And what it actually masks is when you turn hyper aggressive in any sport, when you cross the line in any sport in terms of physicality, who's normally doing that? Is it Michael Jordan? Is it Kobe Bryant? Is it Magic Johnson? Is it the most skilled players? Or do they have what they have in hockey, in basketball? Goons. Guys with limited amount of talent who it's their job to be enforcers. And they get involved in most of the extracurricular dirty stuff. And so what you see in the WNBA with this over-aggressiveness, and this even includes, like, say, a Brittany Griner, who for a while was maybe the most dominant women's basketball player, but she's not skilled. She's just big. And so when you lack skill and talent, you turn hyper-aggressive, and the next thing you know, this isn't a knock on Draymond Green. It's Draymond Green maxing out his limited talent, and so he's overly aggressive. So is Dylan Brooks. Dennis Rodman was not skilled. He was overly aggressive. He played harder and rougher than everyone else to compensate for his lack of skills. And so when the women turn hyper-aggressive and hyper-physical, what they're actually doing is waving a giant flag to say, I don't have any real talent or skills. I have to make up for it by beating people up. And people don't want to see that. They just don't. I don't blame them. You shouldn't blame them for not wanting to see that. And all these women, including Angel Reese, running on TV, telling her, I did this, I made the WNBA popular. How come they're not honoring all the women before us that laid the groundwork? Because you weren't any good. You weren't very skilled. This young woman is highly skilled. There's some other young women in that league that are skilled as well. But they come in that rough male packaging that no one wants to see. I'm just sorry. And so if the WNBA wants to remain a niche league for angry feminists and lesbians and have everybody ignore them, have at it. I was perfectly happy never watching the WNBA. I'll be perfectly happy never watching the WNBA again. But yes, I've been attracted to the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark and because I thought the league and the players, the smart ones at least, were ready to embrace a more marketable style of basketball, a more feminine style of basketball. I'm not saying they can't be physical at all, but if they want to turn this into literally rollerblade, they better find some more attractive women willing to put on little tiny shorts and revealing outfits and put some rollerblades on them, and then they can roll around a rink and knock each other over and do a bunch of dirty stuff if they want to be the WWE. But more attractive women, skimpy outfits, and they can wrestle around like they're in the WWE, people will watch that. But as long as the league is dependent on women who have tatted themselves up, women who many, look like little dudes out there, they got to tamp down the physicality and the cheap stuff and the dirty stuff. This Chennedy Carter has already been booted out of the league by two different teams for being this type of dirty player. So, do I think Caitlin Clark is leaning into, hey, they're being dirty with me, and how hard was the Chennedy Carter hit and all that? Yes, I think she's leaning into it. I called her out on it when she was in college. When the fan ran onto the court after they got upset, I thought like, wow, she played that hit up and acted like she got toppled and stampeded by a bull, and it wasn't accurate. But And I get that, hey, rite of passage, rookie, people are going to try to shut it. I got no problem with that. No problem. I got no problem with people being jealous and envious. Because they should try to avoid it, but we see this in sports all the time. This is what Michael Jordan faced this. Jealousy and envy. And it's someone put out a tweet, or Monica McNutt. I want to play this clip of Monica McNutt on Nightcap, and then I'm going to bring Anthony Walker on, and we'll bring Delano in via Skype and talk some more about this. But I think this is SOT number 5. I want to play Monica McNutt. She's on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco, and I thought she said something interesting but delusional. Let's play the clip.
I get that we are at a special place when it comes to women's basketball and the growth of the game and all of the eyeballs. I think what I was frustrated by in our conversation earlier is that we can hold more than one truth, y'all.
Yes.
Like the idea of some players being jealous, yes, that probably exists. But I think in Caitlin's debut, since she has made her debut, there's been a large and loud clamor or push, yes, that is Caitlin versus the W. Okay. And that is unfair. Okay. To me, yeah, jealous, sure. I mean, would you be jealous of somebody that got $28 million a shoe deal or whatever the deal is before you step foot in the pros? Right? Yeah. I just need us all to do a better job of holding room for multiple truths. Jordan as a rookie, Joe, right? LeBron as a rookie, like Wemby as a rookie. When you look at guys that have gone on to be great, I'm sure they would not say their rookie years were cakewalks. Now, in the case of LeBron, and if we use Wemby this year, they have physically dominant and powerful statures. And so maybe that has allowed them to skirt some of the curve. But Caitlin is a guard coming from college. She got to get her weight up. The W has to continue to allow her to be one of the leaders of this platform, as Angel Reese has also been, because I know that's going to be a hot topic tomorrow. And so my whole thing is just, it doesn't have to be either or. It can be both. But the prevailing idea that it's the W versus Caitlyn and that these women don't understand the power of the eyeballs and the audience that she's helped grow the league to, that's just unfair.
So Monica McNutt and Shannon and Ocho aren't built for this conversation. They're handcuffed, no different than I talked a little bit yesterday about Stephen A. Smith being handcuffed, and we'll talk about it with Delano and Anthony as well. But Shannon and Ocho, no different. They're handcuffed. These black women are basically untouchable and can't be corrected. No matter what they say, no matter how delusional, they can't be corrected because they hold all the weapons and the guns. They can call you sexist. They can get you canceled. They can rile up a Twitter army, a sponsor army to cancel you. And so no one can correct Monica McNutt, and she knows it. Again, we talked about this some yesterday. We're talking about it again today. And again, she's a woman. She can out-talk these guys just because these are two former athletes. I'm not trying to diminish. They're all former athletes, but she's a woman, and she's been talking illogical without any consequences, without any pushback for a long time. These guys are scared. I'm not scared. And I'm armed with information. She said, oh, wouldn't anybody be jealous of Caitlin Clark? She got a shoe contract for $28 million before she played the game. So did LeBron, coming straight out of high school. So did Michael Jordan, coming straight out of North Carolina. And yes, did people want to test Michael Jordan? Absolutely. But it wasn't at this level. All this smack talk, all of this clear, people cheerleading some dirty, cheap shot. And then I don't remember any rookie. I don't remember Hakeem Olajuwon going, man, I'm the reason the NBA is popular too. It's not just Michael Jordan. We were in the same rookie class. Find the tape of Hakeem saying that. And he was the number 1 overall pick. And Michael was number 3. There's no video of Sam Bowie, the few days he was healthy, him saying, hey, I'm the reason people are watching. It's just not there. Men actually lived in reality and said, yeah, Michael he's got the crown right now. He's got the baton. Yeah, we're going to try to knock it out of his hands, but I'm not going to talk crazy and pretend like people aren't tuning in to see Michael Jordan. When Bird and Magic showed up, yeah, people were, you think Kareem and some other folks wasn't like, hey, man, I've been carrying this league. Why is all the attention on Magic and Larry? But you think people weren't sitting there like, woo, Tiger Woods, he's getting all the attention. Men were sitting there probably with a little jealousy. But at the end of the day, they was like, man, you see these zeros they're adding to my bank account? I'm going to just shut my mouth and try to beat him on the golf course. These women have to run their mouths. They have to show everybody just how petty, jealousy, and envious, and just how destructive they are. We don't want to see women act like men. I'm going to bring Delano and Anthony into this conversation here in a second. Before I do that, guys, are you dreaming about your summer getaway? Planning what to eat, where to visit, and what to do, and where to sleep? What about the comfort of the home while you're away? That's where Cozy Earth comes in. Right now, you can get 35% off with my promo code FEARLESS at checkout. Cozy Earth isn't just about creating luxurious bedding and loungewear. It's about elevating and transforming your entire travel experience. Their bedding is so soft and buttery smooth, it beats any hotel sheets I've slept in. And Cozy Earth's bedding comes in convenient totes, making it travel-friendly and hassle-free. Plus, Cozy Earth's comfortable loungewear is the perfect outfit for travel. Their temperature-regulating bamboo joggers and pullover crew ensure that you stay cool and comfy on those long flights. Not everyone is hitting the road or the skies this summer, and that's totally okay. Whether you're creating memories around the world or creating your own sanctuary at home, Cozy Earth has everything you need to make every moment feel like pure bliss. Trust me, once you experience the comfort and quality of Cozy Earth, you'll never want to go back. Want to rest easy on vacation? Take a trip to CozyEarth.com/fearless. Then type in my personal code, FEARLESS, at checkout, and you'll get an exclusive 35% off. That's promo code FEARLESS for 35% off. It's my way of saying thanks for listening. Do me a favor and choose podcast in the survey after ordering, and then FEARLESS with Jason Whitlock in the drop-down menu. Thanks, and happy sleeping. Anthony Walker, Delano Squires, next.
He's the bright and the morning star. He's the rose of Sharon, the Prince of Peace, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the wonderful counselor, the mighty God. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He's my everything. He's my all in all. Do I have a witness in this house? Even the youth shall faint and be weary. Young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. And you young men, I'm 72 years old, but I still got pep in my step. I still got a leap in my walk. I still got shouting in my voice, and I'm not ready to quit by any stretch because I read the back of the book and we win.
All right, welcome back. Anthony Walker in studio with me. Delano joining us from Washington, D.C. Both of these guys are sports fans, and I like to include them in some sports conversations from time to time, particularly a conversation like this that kind of exposes some dynamics between men and women. But I want to start, we'll start with you, Delano. What do you think of my argument that as men watching sports and as traditional sports fans, there's a level of physicality that we just don't want to see from women? Our expectations for women are just different than they are for men.
I certainly agree with the second point, that the expectations for women are different than men. I agree with the first point, but I think it's hard to pinpoint what that level is. If I were to put it on two different, on a sliding scale, on the far end, I would say a lot of men are not, myself included, are not comfortable seeing two women get into an octagon and pummel each other to the point where their faces are bloody. And then on the opposite end, I'd say men watching sports expect, some level of physicality if that's what the sport calls for. So they're not turned off, so to speak, by, a tennis player who grunts or one who has a really strong serve, right? But somewhere in between there, I think, is where most guys come down. And I think it's a combination of a number of factors. And to give some people credit, I do think some of these do have to do with a person's image, and that can be confounded by race and sexuality. Because I think when you see WNBA players who are physical, that reads differently if they also are butch, right? And when the league is, if not predominantly, a significant number of them are self-identified as queer, there's a lot that gets put into that. So I know people have been showing clips of the WNBA players being physical in the 90s and the 2000s, and I have no doubt that that was the case. But I do think that people tend to have different expectations for women in every area of life than they do men. And last thing I'll say real quick is this. If you flip this around and ask yourself, would the perception of men's sports be different if there was a league, let's say the NBA, where 35% of the players were not just gay, but on fire, right? If they showed up looking like Billy Porter and E.J. Johnson in heels and skirts and on the court, instead of the physicality that we're used to, a flagrant would be, like one of these, and when they ran up the court, it would sort of be like Michael Sam running the 40.
Sometimes I forget how funny Delano is.
You know, it probably would be
You
a
got some
different
Steve
perception.
Kim in you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, Anthony, where are you on that scale Delano's talking about? Because anytime women fight, I don't like it. I'm just.
So I see what he's trying to say. Well, I don't see what he's trying to say. I see what he's saying. I think it really boils down to what men look at with competition. With competition, there is a logical side of it, and there is a physical side of it. I will overpower you, I will outrun you, etc. But a lot of it, has that logical side. We would not mind the logical, somewhat tactical aspects of competition in women's sports or whatever, because we get that. But when it gets too physical, that's our realm. We are, on the football side. I'm going to use my will over yours. We don't necessarily want to see that with women. Outthink them, get strategy, but we don't want to see that.
And that's why, even before Caitlin Clark, I could enjoy women's college basketball. I've never enjoyed the WNBA because it does, to use Delano's description, which is accurate, it seems so butch and so masculine that I just can't, it just doesn't appeal to me. And so I can remember when Skylar Diggins was a star at Notre Dame, I remember being into that. And I'm certainly, you follow the show, I like what Caitlin Clark, and I even liked a lot of what Angel Reese had brought, although over the top, but leaning into the feminine. And so I just think that we're just kind of missing the boat here. I think Caitlin Clark is getting what an expensive rookie would get in virtually any sport. There's going to be a rookie tax placed on you. But when that tax includes physicality, we're like, nah, I don't like that. And if they want to, in football, the rookies get exploited off the field. Hey, carry my pads, and we all expecting
going out to dinner.
Yeah,
got the tab.
Yeah, you got all that. And so if we were hearing stories about like that, particularly in the WNBA, where Caitlin Clark is making so much more than everybody else, I think we'd all be like, yeah, tax her. That's great. That seems well intentioned. This here seems like the jealousy's out of hand. And again, there's always going to be some jealousy and competition. And I'm telling you, to some degree, Caitlin Clark's leaning into it. I do think the woman hit her, but did she hit her so hard that she had to fall out like that? Yeah. I'm not so sure. Right. But that's what we've turned basketball into. Luka flops, LeBron flops. The leaders of the sport have kind of said, hey, this is now part of the game. Over-exaggerate any physical contact, particularly if you're the star of the league.
You're making the point, though, like, we want the competition, we want a lot of what we see in men's sports, but when it goes over the top, that's where we say, nah, I don't want that. I don't want to see that in women's athletics. We called it, like you said, welcome to the league. The guys who got put down, you got a good elbow, whatnot, welcome to the league, and that was it. The other thing, though, is when we see that in women, if we saw it in men, you remember when flopping early on became, really known, we would say, oh, he's crying like a girl. Oh, he's flopping like a little girl, right? If we say that about women, now it's sexist. It's like, wait, that's the same critique. But now it is, there's a whole dimension, so we can't say, but then if they do what men do, it's offhand, and it's not a good look for the WNBA.
Delano, I want to throw you an alley-oop because I know you've been tweeting about Monica McNutt and Stephen A. Smith and that conversation. I want to play, this is about a 2-minute clip. I think this was an exchange they had on Monday, or maybe it was Tuesday, I can't remember. Days are all running together with me. But let's play the Monica McNutt, Stephen A. Smith collision, the initial conversation that it was spun out over social media as, hey, Stephen A's in the wrong and Monica McNutt is scolding him appropriately. Let's play the clip.
deserve it. We're talking about them maximizing their great potential. And because we bring that up and talk about what potentially might get in their way, which we do to men all the time, now we got to sit up here and watch every syllable. I resent that, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, so let me. I know we got to go to break. Welcome to the world of being a woman, Stephen A., and how you have to dance about your word choice and you have to please everybody and anybody as you navigate your being. We are talking about the world's greatest.
How about being a black man?
Being black. Hold on 1 second. Have you? So this is what I'm saying to y'all, though, and I know we got to go to break, and we didn't necessarily go there. Maybe we should. There are so many layers in this conversation around the way that it's being discussed. When you no. And yes, Shannon, I know y'all are going to say and Stephen A., I know you just shared that you have talked about the WNBA on your program too. You guys may not have said everybody, but the prevailing sentiment for folks that are just joining the WNBA and following women's sports is unfair to the women of this league, to your point, who have laid the groundwork for Caitlin Clark to come in and now take it to the next level. That's all I'm saying in these conversations. Chennedy Carter's behavior is not indicative of the entire league. We are still talking about competition where you are allowed to get a little extra elbow in if you are competing and you do it within the parameters of the game. The game is physical. Caitlin is helping to grow the league. These women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all I'm at.
All right.
Who talks about the WNBA? Who talks about women? Who talk about women's sports more than First Take?
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
Wow.
All right, we got to go. You guys.
So did you say
you're my guy, but
who does more than
Stephen
us?
I'm talking to you.
Wow.
Don't do that. I'm talking to you about the power that you have.
Okay.
I'm talking to you.
Okay.
All right, let's.
You're my guy, but I'm talking to you.
I got it.
Guys, I really appreciate.
You're my girl, but you've missed a lot of episodes of First Take. You missed a lot.
Stephen A., 3 years ago, you would not talk about the W at this level. Don't do that.
Guys.
Nobody was, Monica. You making Stephen A.'s point, Monica. Monica, you making Stephen A.'s point.
Please let me do my job. Please let me do my job. We've gone for 40 minutes straight. It was a riveting discussion. I have to get into commercial break.
Delano, your thoughts?
Oh boy, so much going on there. Let me boil it down to a few things. One, I think what we've seen is that the subsequent generation of ESPN talent, I'm talking about the generation that inherited this network from the OGs, right, decades ago, are completely unqualified to discuss these types of topics in public. These are people who speak the language of intersectionality, who train for the Oppression Olympics, and who just have a lack of depth of understanding. And Stephen A. is realizing this in real time because he figured if I promote Monica McNutt and I promote Carrie Champion, I promote all these, he mentioned Jamel Hill in his screed, right? He did another video where he was upset and he mentioned all these women by name. He figured, I'll stay in the good graces of the sisterhood. Wrong. Just like Charlie Murphy said, wrong. Sorry, Stephen A. No good deed goes unpunished when you're dealing with people who have been trained to be ungrateful, who have been trained to use words like worth and deserve, who have been trained to rely on the largesse of men, financial largesse largely, and a male league, and then turn around and bite the hand that feeds them. And I like Monica McNutt personally. I've seen her call a few Knicks games. I think she's a good broadcaster talent. I like the fact that Essence highlighted her and her fiance's pending nuptials. So I said, okay, at least she's she's not playing for the other team, and I think that's a good thing. But she is no different than the others, and I've heard her speak enough and using terms like holding space and intersectional identities to know, oh yeah, Stephen A. is in trouble because he thinks that he has the prestige and the gravitas to hold this thing together. But what he doesn't understand is that the way we talk about power dynamics in this country is completely inverted. Because Malika Andrews and Stephen A. cannot get Malika Andrews and Monica McNutt kicked off of ESPN for things that they say within the context of their job. But if Stephen A. gets crossed with those two women, and if he told Malika Andrews last year, look here, little girl, you're on my show. How dare you come and respect me? They would have sat his butt down for at least 3 weeks. And they would have let Malika host it as a sign of domination. So all of the rules around intersectional identity and oppressor-oppressed categories have been completely scrambled. And these folks are not smart enough to understand that. And last thing I'll say is this. This is going to come back to Monica McNutt and the sisterhood as well. Because when the when Leah Thomas brushed off the jockstrap and said, give me a golden microphone and come to ESPN, and he starts pressing them out and saying, well, you cis women haven't been supportive of trans athletes. They're going to sit there just like Stephen A. like this. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. So it's a wonderful thing to see. I love to see a dog eating its tail. But these guys, him and Shannon, are going to be in for a rough road because they do not understand what's about to hit them.
I don't want to limit it to Shannon and Stephen A. I think this whole exchange represents the rough road that all men, but in particular, black men have. Because what we just witnessed was gatekeeping by our women. Bottom line. This man's on his show, granted this woman a platform for several years on his show, building her up. And what she just let him know is exactly what you said, is I want first take and I want to be the host. And at any point, if I catch you slipping, we're going to get you up out of here. And this will be first take with Monica McNutt and Malika Andrews and Molly Karam. And Stephen A, he's boxed in and me and Shamika talked about it on Tuesday's show. He doesn't have a gun, she has the gun, period. She can cancel him, he can't cancel her. She can say anything and there will be no repercussions. And what's really dishonest when she was like, welcome to the world of women, Stephen A. Smith, where we have to watch every syllable. And black women and blah, blah. And I'm like, there's only one person on that panel. Well, there's actually three. But the number one person that knows they got to watch what they say is the white woman, Molly Karam. And then Stephen A. and Shannon next, right there with her. It's like, boy, anything I say can and will be used against me in the court of public opinion. And I will be destroyed. And this is where with feminists, this alliance that we think we're building along racial lines, it doesn't exist among feminists. She don't care about that black man and all the work he's put in and sacrifice he's put in. Hey, this is his show. And the reason why I say that is I know for a fact, Shamika does not agree with everything that's said on this show. But man, does she give us, respect. Like, hey, Whitlock did this. Yeah. Whitlock put me on. Yeah. And these men that he's got around him are letting me participate in conversations that they don't have to, blah, blah. She gives us that respect because she's not a feminist. Yeah. And so this is why I'm always so hard about shared values. You building relationships off skin color, ooh, I feel sorry for you. Because if they don't have your values, they don't have that respect, that he whatever Monica McNutt is making, Stephen A played some little role in her making that. But when it comes time to score some social media points and get him up out of there, Anthony, hop in there. I'm sorry.
No, you're hitting it. When I saw that, I had a conversation with a friend about it, and it's like you mentioned it earlier about just the X's and O's of business, of media early on. The WNBA in 27 years has never been profitable. That means from its inception, we've been feeding it. We have been promoting, paying for it.
Men
absolutely
of the NBA players are paying for the WNBA.
Yes.
And that woman has no respect for that.
You look at the last decade, they've been feeding more and more money into external promotions. They're always featuring, if NBA players are at the game, hey, this guy's at the game, NBA guys are walking in with WNBA jerseys, like we're promoting. During COVID time, we're all inside. They're pushing the WNBA. We're pushing. And at this point, it's like, it's not fair. And I'm saying the whole time we've been feeding it. The fair piece, look at the XFL, the USFL. Startup, fans don't really go to the games. advertisers don't really invest in it, it fizzles out. We call that the risk of business. You're competing against the NFL, and hey, if it falls out, it falls out. Dwayne Johnson comes in, pours in a whole bunch of money. Hey, let's try to do this thing again. Viewership goes down. It's played during the summer. Not a lot of. It fizzles out. WNBA, hey, it's not fair. We don't get enough airtime. We're not getting enough promotion. You're not talking about it much. It's never been profitable. What business model, after 27 years, never been profitable? Hey, you know what we got to do? We got to put more money into it.
We got to fly you private.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We got to roll you around like Cleopatra on our shoulders, city to city to city. Your feet can't even touch the ground. And you hop on TV. You ain't done enough.
Right.
What do you mean? Right. You could have been talking about us 3 years ago, Stephen A. Smith, with your platform and all that money you got. How come you ain't spending on me? Wow. Delano, but Jason, I know you got to bounce. I'm gonna give you final. Go ahead, take your time.
But I mean, it's there's so much going on here, and I was telling my wife and my friends, I was like, look, no good deed goes unpunished. And this is the same dynamic that probably a lot of white folks at ESPN and sports media have felt when they hear some of the black people who they've helped come along turn around and say how racist everybody in the media is. And I think at the heart of this is that a lot of these women, again, particularly the ones who have been sort of trained in second wave feminism, they don't know what it's like to be at peace, to be content with what they have, and to exhibit any sense of joy, because those things feel too normative. So they are always in rebellion and revolutionary mode. But the thing of the matter is they want to be treated equally as men, but to Pastor Anthony's point, they don't want to have to deal with the same consequences. They want the benefits of being a man without having to pay the costs of being a man. And one of the things I tweeted recently is that, look, the NHL and Major League Baseball do not get any coverage on major debate shows. They may get a touch on PTI because Kornheiser and Wilbon still, they sort of cover golf and all other stuff. But on any other sports show, nobody knows who Shohei Ohtani is, right? Caitlin Clark is getting way more press than Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is basically the Japanese Babe Ruth. I don't see him going around in every Japanese media publication complaining that the Americans won't give me my shine. And I think it's because these women, again, prior to being jealous or resentful or whatever word you want to use of Caitlin Clark, they have spent the entire 27 years being jealous of the NBA and demanding to be treated just like the men. And the minute that they get it, because that treatment also includes both, when you ask for the sun, you get the light and the heat. And now they're starting to get some heat, the heat of criticism. And the minute that they get it, they say, no, why y'all treating us like this? Because, we're women. So, yeah, I think the Monica McNutts of the world and the other women in sports media who behave this way are showing what it looks like when you don't have any sense of inner contentment and peace. And when, no matter what you get, your first move is to always look to the right and to the left to see what somebody else has. And that's clearer than anything. And Jason, let me say this last piece. And I said this to my wife yesterday, because I hear what you say about Monica McNutt and Stephen A. Let me take it away from gender for a quick second. We're coming up on 3 years on doing Fearless. And I've been here since the second show. And I told my wife, I said, it don't matter how things look between me and the Blaze and Whitlock in 5 years, 10 years, it don't matter where we are. One thing you will never catch me doing is publicly criticizing him, because he gave me an opportunity not only to show that I had a sword in terms of social commentary, but to grow it and to sharpen it. And I appreciate that. But I was raised in such a context and by people who hated ingratitude. My parents may deal with me being a smart aleck and being whatever, but ingratitude was something that they could not stand. So I'm saying that to say I appreciate you, and I appreciate the opportunity that you've given to myself and the other contributors here. And that's one thing that you don't have to worry about with me, because I'm not that type of guy. And clearly the people that populate the ranks of sports media, they are, because they don't even know what it means to be grateful for an opportunity.
And Delano, I know you got to run, so I'll probably be finishing this point to Anthony, and I don't want anybody to hear it as me putting any shine on myself because I don't deserve any. But what Delano is talking about, this ingratitude and this disconnect from our Heavenly Father and a biblical worldview. And Anthony, I really want you to respond to this because maybe I'm just out of bounds and out of line. But again, this is where I say, and again, I don't know Monica McNutt, but I would bet, particularly with her getting married, I would bet she has some sort of faith, I would think. But a man's faith and a woman's faith, I think a lot of times reveal itself differently and is maybe executed differently because now that I'm fully connected or far more connected to God, it turns up my gratitude. It turns up my, it just turns up my gratitude. And I'll just give you an example. Take my mother and sister. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying this to shine. I'm just telling you, like, I got a different mentality than perhaps a woman as it relates to gratitude. My mother and sister, so central to success I had early in life. My mother provided a wonderful foundation for me and my brother. My sister was such a role model, such a go-getter. She opened my eyes to like, oh man, you could really do some big things in this world. Look at yo, Bob. And so my memories of what they did for me as a kid so supersedes the fact that we have a disconnect philosophically outlook on the world. And it doesn't matter that they disagree with me. I'm going to do for them out of gratitude, out of like, ooh, do I owe these people a debt? And at the end of the day, and I may sometimes do it with gritted teeth, but it's like, no, this is my sister, this is my mother. Yeah. These are women that I'm responsible for, and they may not even want to admit that. My mother's been retired for 30 some odd years, and she won't admit. She won't even admit it. What do you mean? I stand on my own. Oh, really? I'm responsible for them, and my sense of gratitude is just like, you don't have to agree with me. We can disagree on everything, but I love you, and I'm going to do for you. I see women, and it's like they have a different standard. You got to hop on board with I believe in order to get the full support from me. That's what I think is the difference between men and women.
So I think what happens is it's the way that our culture has kind of treated us to make us have this equal in everything dynamic. And God makes us different, and our function is different. We're equal in value, but our function is different. Men tend to understand, fall in line with rank and order. Vody, when he was speaking at roll call, he brought up Ephesians chapter 5, in which God says for wives to respect your husband. We get that, rank and order. But we have a challenge sometimes dealing with the emotional feeling, etc. So when you talk about gratitude, as you expressed it, your gratitude, yes, we understand what God has done from us, but you get it from a rank and order, submission, respect piece. I'm doing this because I understand my place and function in the kingdom of God. So when I'm given an opportunity, an avenue, wow, nobody had to do this. Thank you for that. You come into this world as a child. You didn't bring anything to this world. Mom, dad, they helped to provide for you. I'm thankful for what you've done. So when Paul tells us, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right, it has the seeds of that, like, because I'm grateful for you all caring for me. We may grow up and make different decisions, etc., but I'll never forget where I came from. Now there's a culture of question everything, call out everything. It doesn't matter who you are, as long as I got a mic, just like you got a mic, I get to say whatever and however I want to. That's the culture now. So it means we may disagree, but no, I'm gonna put you in your place because this is live and on air, and I'm gonna say, no, you got to understand where you've come from.
I'm going to continue with some additional thoughts I have on this myself, and then Anthony and Virgil are going to rejoin me for some Tennessee Harmony, where we'll get some of their thoughts on how roll call went. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about something special we got going on at the Blaze. The trustworthiness of Dr. Anthony Fauci has been up for debate for a long time. I think you and I know that despite the media's campaign to defend his character, there's a lot of suspicious stuff going on behind the scenes. We know that they lied about COVID. We know that statistics were inflated, and we know that Fauci is tied into it all. If scientists, doctors, or journalists spoke out against Dr. Fauci, they were silenced immediately. But why? What is the COVID mafia trying to hide, and how is the messaging so perfectly coordinated so quickly? Now that their lies have gotten some attention, they're doing everything they can to distract us and make us forget about COVID, lest we uncover the depths of their deception. You didn't forget how these policies and pandemics changed our nation and your day-to-day lives. We haven't forgotten about it either. We're still dealing with the repercussions today. That's why we teamed up with the Free the People to release The Cover-Up, a docuseries available now on blazetv. It exposes Fauci for what he is, a liar. Our government failed us. They didn't press Fauci hard enough during his hearing. Blaze TV and the Free the People won't fail you. The Cover-Up docuseries dives deep into the COVID mafia and their agenda. So go to FauciCoverup.com/Whitlock and use the promo code Fauci Lied to get $30 off an annual subscription to Blaze TV. All right, don't go anywhere. I got some additional thoughts on Caitlin Clark, and then Virgil and Anthony will rejoin me for some Tennessee Harmony next.
Never being satisfied. When Jesus Christ said, "My peace I leave with you," letting another man determine your peace, not me, never me. So when they come to you, as they will, and they try to make you feel some type of way about their feelings in America, how they, you're responsible for my position in America. You're responsible for me not having a job. You're responsible for me being poor. You're responsible. I want you to tell them this. You say, I am a free man, and you're a free man. If you want a good job, I help you find one. If you want a good preacher, I help you find one. If you can't read or write, I'll help you get a good education. But I will not live in condemnation for you. If this is not good enough for you, if you try to come hurt me or mine or anything around me, I got two things that'll get you off of me. That is Jesus and my 38. Come try me.
All right, welcome back. I wanted to address a couple of more things as related to Caitlin Clark, as we spent 2 days on this topic, and I just want to make sure I squeeze everything in I can, because I think this is fascinating, what is transpiring here. But I want to play you a clip of this Las Vegas Aces star, Asia Wilson. And she is caught in a conversation with, I think, Kelsey Plum. Is it Kelsey Plum or Flum? I think it's Plum. I'm sorry. Anyway, she was the guard that's married or was married to Darren Waller, the NFL tight end. They're caught in a conversation on a hot mic talking about Paige Bueckers. And basically, to me, it spells out that if Caitlin Clark wants to be treated well, she's got to bend the knees to Black Lives Matter and the whole Black feminist movement, the whole Yas Queen movement, the way that Paige Bueckers does. Play the clip.
Paige Bueckers! Us as Black women, Paige reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say you're not really about me. And she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point. And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. But, like, she understands her privilege and like, pushes her over the top in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. And I mean, that's a compliment.
See, Paige Bueckers understands that you have to worship Black women and give praise to black women in order to be accepted within the WNBA. That's what Asia Wilson means by she understands her privilege. And Asia Wilson is in this delusional state where she has no idea, no understanding, no self-awareness about the privilege she has and is executing. And it's all connected to the conversation I keep saying it with, I was saying with Anthony and Delano. And I said it with Shamiko on Tuesday. These women are not accountable for anything. They can say and do anything. If they're angry and lash out it violently or physically, oh, didn't you see what that white girl did to provoke it? And so I'm talking about you can beat a white woman, a little teenage white girl, nearly to death in St. Louis in a fight. And there will be people rallying to say, well, the little white girl, she threw the first punch. And so, the fact that the other girl beat her head into the concrete several times, we can't hold her to that standard. The little white girl threw the punch first. And so anything that happens after that is justified. And if you see a black person beating up a white person, a teacher, an authority figure, all the black person has to do is say, well, they called me the N-word. Of course I nearly beat them to a pulp. And this really applies to black women. They can't be racist. They can't be sexist. They can't be homophobic. They can't be anything. Well, of course they feel that way. They've been abandoned by their men. It's someone else's fault for everything. So there is no standard for black women. They have the ultimate privilege, and that privilege is being weaponized against American society. And so Asia Wilson's very comfortably sitting on the sidelines telling another white NBA player, hey, we're good with you, and we'll be good with Paige Bueckers because you guys worship us. You guys play along with the Yas Queen movement and that black women can do no wrong. Black girl magic. It'll come across. Some people will interpret this, Whitlock doesn't like black women. No, I don't like women who demand that they be worshiped. Period. End of story. I don't care what color they are. I'm not a part of this delusional movement that the worship of women is healthy for any culture. It is not. It's why we're in the trouble we're in. It's why we can't speak truth, because we spend all of our energy worshiping women. The other part that I wanted to get off my chest was people are arguing that protecting Caitlin Clark is actually making things worse. And we had this discussion among my team, producers, and people that get me ready for the show. And the argument was made that, hey, all these guys, Charles Barkley and everybody else, that are defending Caitlin Clark, they're actually making things worse. They're triggering these women. They're doing X, Y, and Z to these women. And just let her take her rookie beating. Let her get through it and survive. I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning of today's show about people just don't want to see her beat up. They don't want to see sports fans want to see Caitlin Clark be successful. It's no different. Sports fans wanted to see Michael Jordan be successful. Sports fans wanted to see Tiger Woods be successful. What's going on with Caitlin Clark is not unusual. People want to see history made. They want to see something unique and different. They fall in love with certain athletes that kind of have an underdog narrative, or they come from out of nowhere, or they're so excellent. They just want to see that level of excellence. And so Caitlin Clark sets all these records at Iowa. She leads a team to back-to-back NCAA title games. She's the leading scorer in the history of women's basketball. She plays in a unique way that we haven't really seen from women. She plays like Steph Curry. People want to see that be successful. And what they do not want to see is women beating up on each other like they're in a UFC octagon. What they do not want to see is women so out of control with their jealousy and envy and, yes, a tiny bit of racism, or maybe a lot of racism. They don't want to see that on display. Sports aren't about that. Sports are about bringing people together. And then, as I've said earlier, as the dynamic or the difference between men and women, we just don't want to see this level of ugliness. We don't want to see a bunch of lesbians beat up Caitlin Clark. We don't see a bunch of heterosexual women beat up Caitlin Clark. We don't want to see women beating on each other. I know it's commonplace. There's some stats out there to say lesbian couples have the highest rate of domestic violence more than anybody. They have no control of their emotions. They have no control of their jealousy, envy. And so they turn very physical. Why do you think Brittany Griner has had problems with law enforcement? But because she's black girl magic, because she represents the LGBTQIA plus silent P, no one talks about the fact that Brittany Griner has had some problems beating up women. Can't talk about it. Black girl magic. Anyway, that's all I wanted to add to this part of the discussion. When we come back, I'll bring Anthony back, and we'll talk with he and Virgil about roll call and how successful or unsuccessful it was successful roll call was. Stay tuned. Tennessee Harmony next.
Another statue coming down in a town near you. Watching the threads of old glory come undone. I'm not the only one. I can't be the only one.
Welcome back. Time for some Tennessee Harmony with Anthony and Virgil. Anthony, if you could pray us in.
Father God, we thank you so much for your word. We're thankful for today, Father. Help us to always be mindful of how we can use whatever you've given us for your glory, our words, our whereabouts, our actions. We pray that all that we say and do is pleasing in your sight. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Guys, I just wanted to give you both an opportunity to give your thoughts, reflections on Roll Call 2.0, what you felt like maybe were the highlights, what we did better or worse than a year ago. Anthony, get us rolling here, and then Virgil, you follow in behind.
As always, one of the highlights for me is meeting people, meeting the supporters, the viewers, the listeners of our show. No matter where I was, there was always an opportunity to meet somebody else, sharing stories, favorite episodes, favorite topics. I'm a people person, so I truly enjoyed that. I think we hit it off very well. Vody did a great job just starting it off. Like it set the tone. One of the guys I got to meet, he said when he saw Vody up first, he thought, man, that's it. Like that was all. He's like, but it kept going up after that in his view. So he said he really enjoyed it. A few of my guys from church got to come and they really enjoyed it. So I think it was 2.0 based off of what we did the first year.
Virgil?
Yeah, I agree. I think it would definitely, I love the way that Anthony phrased it, kind of 2.0. speakers out of the gate just brought it. And of course, I have a preference for Vody, that he's kind of in my backyard, kind of my wing of things. And so he was outstanding as I anticipated that he would be. But there wasn't anybody that left any meat on the bone by the time they got done. Every single person who got a chance to grace the platform gave their own brand of suit that just took it to a whole nother level. I mean, I've got favorites of my own and who did what, but just in an overall big picture, it was wonderful. Like Anthony, I loved seeing guys enjoy what they were experiencing, as a part of the crew kind of behind the scenes, putting this together. My joy comes from seeing so many other people experience it, be impacted by it, be transformed by it. And you mentioned, I think earlier this week, I met the guy who came to Roll Call One. He's a pretty big guy, and he had lost, 100 some odd pounds, and showed me his picture for the second one. He was just motivated by some of the things that were laid out in the first one. So the transforming aspect, physically, spiritually, and otherwise, I think is really great to see. And so overall, it was just a great experience.
The thing that shocked me, and this is a learning experience for me doing this. Now, I've done other events, and I've always been into events. I used to throw a big Christmas party in Kansas City, but nothing where, I'm inviting people that I look up to. And I'm clearly platforming speakers who are further along in knowledge of the word than I am. And so this year, when last year it was easier for me, but this year was more difficult for me to tell people, hey, I want you to talk about this or that. That was difficult for me just from an ego standpoint, because I'm like, man, I'm telling a bunch of people that know more than me. But now I see the brilliance of it, or why it needs to be that way, because what I thought was just incredible, and for some reason I wasn't expecting it, but I watched it in real time, and I was like, oh, that's why I told people there was such a synergy between what Vody said, Mark Robinson said, E.W. Jackson, Anthony, Alan Jackson. There was so much synergy between the message and Vince Everett Ellison. I was like, oh, my suggestions actually worked. And then these guys took everything to the next level, from the sacrifice of Christ and him being our role model that Anthony laid out, to Vody just coming out the box. And he didn't do it intentionally, but trust me, I was sitting back there like, oh my God, why is he kicking me in the stomach? Why is he convicting me, talking about marriage and how this is the ultimate test of manhood, the ultimate proof of manhood, and the importance of all that. And I'm just, oh boy, this is rough. And by the time Mark Robinson started ranting and raving about, you need to be the first person in the car, going to church, and you need to be waiting on everybody. Yeah. All of that, and that piggybacked off of you and Virgil very politely a month or two ago, calling me out very politely, and to see myself put it, to respond to y'all calling me out, and I felt comfortable on stage. I was like, no, I've already made those steps. So, I felt good about it. But to see it all play out, and I, it's not me, it's God, but I intentionally, and some of it was scheduling in terms of Vody going first, because he had somewhere he had to be. But I intentionally was like, I know what E.W. Jackson's going to do, and I'm not going to make anybody speak after E.W. Jackson.
Right.
I'll put myself in those crosshairs. I'm not going to ask it, because I knew where he would take the energy of the crowd, and I knew obviously there was tremendous substance in what he did. Yeah. But there's such a dichotomy between Vody and E.W.
Yes.
And to start there and to basically finish on this high with everybody on their feet and everybody like, oh, wow, Whitlock riled us up after work, or E.W. riled us up after work. And then by the time you throw in the singing, which I just thought was incredible, So I just can't be more pleased. Did y'all hear me? I believe on Monday I started talking about, hey, what new wrinkles could we add to roll call 2? And I'm starting to think about, like, because I've heard enough from enough people, like, hey man, someone stepped up to me shortly before I was to speak. It was like, hey man, you need to thank my wife and you need to thank the wives for letting us come here. And I just kind of like, hey bro, I appreciate it, but this is my roll call. But it did. The guy had an effect on me in terms of,
He's right. I'll tell you why. Go ahead and make your point, but I'll tell you exactly why.
He had an effect on me in this way. It made me say, okay, there's room here. Now that we have the music and the speaking and all this up to a certain level, there is room here on Friday to broaden that event, make it a tiny bit more fun with some substance, and have a dinner where you bring your wives to it. So that's on Friday. And then we can come in on Saturday, have 5 hours of a men's summit, and end it Saturday night with a formal dinner where everybody gets dressed up and you bring your wife to that. Oh. And so that would make it easier on a lot of guys to come, scheduling conflicts or, no, baby, we're going to do this together. Mm-hmm. That's the impact the guy had. I didn't say what he wanted me to say on stage because I was too busy and I was just like, man, come on, dude. You tell me what to do, what to say. I'm at the last minute here. But anyway, you did have an impact on me, so know that. And I can't remember the man's name, but he was wearing a Tennessee shirt, a University of Tennessee button-down shirt. So anyway, you have...
Yeah, no, I was going to say at minimum, thanking the wives. With our men's retreat that we do, we make we're very pointed in thanking the wives. There are a lot of wives that we may not see it, but they registered their husband for.
Oh no, I heard it.
Yeah.
People. My wife bought me this as a birthday present. I heard that.
Yeah. And the aspiration is we're sending them because we know their desire to be better men. We're doing what we can to support them being better men, and if they're better coming back, again, that is a blessing to the household at large. So, yeah, we got to thank them.
Virgil?
Yeah, I saw there was a man I met at the hotel headed to the event, and he recognized me. And it was TJ Moe and I were headed over to the event. He recognized us and came up and greeted us and was, hey, I know you guys. I'm headed over the roll call. His wife was actually there with him. They had breakfast together, and she came up and he introduced her to us, and we got a chance to greet her, and she had said, I was excited for him to come. I bought him the ticket. I'm here for him, supporting him. I'm staying back at the hotel, but I'm so excited for him. He got a chance to come and participate. So it's obvious that that the ladies are behind the scenes. I think it'd be great to acknowledge them in some way. And I think the way that you're thinking through setting it up, whether it's something after the fact or the night before or after, I think are good ways, I think, to go about it as well. I think those are great.
Virgil, because you're behind the scenes in terms of organizing, what do you think of, again, Friday night, having them ladies there participating in that, and then turning around Saturday night and having, because again, I think the music has gotten so good that we'll probably move John Rich or these bigger name singers to that Saturday night formal dinner with these guys playing music and kind of having that listening session as we are eating, things like that. What do you think about something on Friday where the ladies can and something on Saturday where they can get dressed up and we can properly thank and entertain? Because the other thing, I'm just saying, the music is so good that I think it's meant to be enjoyed with your women, to be honest with you. That was the other thing I thought. It's great to listen to that music with a group of guys.
Yeah.
But what those guys did, and we'll probably add a couple of more, what those guys did, it would be a perfect event for your wife and the experience as a couple.
Yeah, I think it would. The other thing is you could slow it down. I mean, you could slow down what took place. Some of it was I won't say rushed. I mean, the time we had was the time that we had, but you could really allow those artists who came to share their gifts really unpack it to a greater degree. It was great to see John Rich there, and my main man, John Cooper, dear friend who we've connected over the years and got a chance to see him in person. And just all these folks that want to come and be a part. I think it'll open the door for many more of them to enter this space and enjoy it with us as well.
Well, and also we can spread it out a little bit and give the speakers a little bit more room to breathe as well, because what I did pick up this time.
What are you trying to say, Jason?
I'm trying to say that if you invite Vody or someone of his level and he starts it off, ministers are going to be like, okay. Okay, it's A-game day.
It's hard.
Get that clock. I got something to get off my chest.
Jason, it's hard to condense the weight that you're wanting us to disseminate into. You got to give us a little breathing room, a little bit.
No. And look, part of it's just me as well, because trust me, in real time, I recognize what happened. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I've spent Thursday night, I didn't sleep at all. Me and Butter were working on things musically, and I didn't sleep at all on Thursday. Turned back around on Friday and stayed out till midnight because my friends were in from out of town. My brother's here, Jeff George is here, all of this stuff. Mark Schlereth, I just got to spend time with them. And so by the time I got to bed about 1 a.m., I think, on Saturday, got back up at 6 a.m. on Saturday, at roll call, I think by 7:45 a.m., on stage at 8:30. And then the speeches were so good. And I'm getting emotional during the speeches. Yeah. And I'm hosting, blah, 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 just in real time. I'm exhausted. And here I am at 4:45, and hey, you got to speak to everybody. I'm exhausted, and I'm like, and I can't compete with what these guys have done. And so I just tried to get us to the finish line. And so the other thing I feel like I can speak on Friday, and that'll create space and room. And then I can start us out and take all the pressure off myself and apply all the pressure to these other guys on Saturday. Now go ahead and top what Whitlock did on Friday. And no one will remember what I did on Friday anyway. So anyway, those are my thoughts. And I did love the way Virgil snuck into this conversation. You know, he was signing autographs and people were recognizing him. And I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. We all heard the same thing. And he's very slick. He's very slick.
He couldn't even leave the hotel. They recognized him.
I got a
bow tie even.
Right.
I had a couple things I wanted to add to this before you kick me off the stage, and that is we talked about the different speakers, and everybody did an excellent job. I gotta big up my man Pastor Anthony Walker. He shook up the place. He did his thing. I couldn't have been more proud to have the same last name when he did his thing on the stage. One of the things that I love about what Anthony does is it's so substantive. So you know you can get the hoop and the holler, but not the substance, or you can get the substance and not the hoop and the holler. This brother will bring both at the same time and hit you with it. And so it's just a fantastic deal. So thoroughly enjoyed it. And the other thing was that I loved was I got a chance to be behind the scenes, and so I got a chance to sit in the green room with a lot of these guys and hear stories about different things, the eclectic nature of their backgrounds. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson was just amazing. Folks might listen to his accent and think, he's an old country boy. Man, that man's a brilliant man. Vince Ellison, another one, sat in the back. The conversations we had should have been recorded. They were it was just all of it, from front to back, left to right. It was really fantastic.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Virgil?
No, well, I did.
You just basically praised everybody except for one person, but go ahead. Do you?
And the thing is, I got the title Bible bully. I don't even know how that even came up. I mean, I'm like,
do we have the picture of Virgil scolding King Randall? Have you seen? Y'all have that picture? Man, I should have given. This is stereotypical Virgil in action.
Oh my goodness.
He's scolding King Randall. Shamika and Delano are looking at Randall like, and Virgil's like, I wish you would.
Oh,
I wish you would fix your lips to disagree with me. It's the biblical bully who, made it 17 minutes now without offering me any congratulations on anything that I did. But I expect it. Thank you, Virgil.
Great job, Jason. Great job.
No,
Great
don't
job.
try to clean it up now. Play harmony. We're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow.
Up so divided, stop fighting and stand tall. We used to be a nation, one united. Now we're headed for downfall. God, let your light shine down. What we need more than anything now, harmony. Let's make a simple vow. Let's come together now. Harmony. Put all your weapons down. Love one another now. Time for us to wake up. Choose love, my sister, my brother. See through the lies they tell us. 'Cause together we're so much stronger. God, let your light shine down. What we need more than anything now. Harmony. Let's make a simple vow. Let's come together now. Harmony. Put all your weapons down. Love one another now. Harmony.
Fear is the enemy. Won't let it get to me.
Open up your eyes